Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Abernethy and I'm a GIS consultant at Esri Ireland. Today I'm going to demonstrate ArcGIS Online to help you get started with making your own maps. This is the second of two videos, and in the first video I guided you through creating a survey in Survey 123. You do not need to watch it first, but you can find the link to that video in the description below. That demonstration ended with me showing you where the survey data can be found in ArcGIS Online. So let's get started by logging back in. Initially, we are taken to the organisation page, but we won't be looking into this today, so let's click on Content at the top. The Content page is where you can find all feature layers, maps and apps that you have created or stored within your account. These items can be organised into folders and searched by item type. You can see here I have an image, feature layer, CSV, tile layer, application and scene. From here you can also change the sharing options and of course click on each to see the item's metadata. If I open our folder with the survey form and feature layer that we created in the first video, you can see here that they have been shared with the public or just with myself. So there are a few things I want to show you before we add this to the map. And these might be helpful when you're working with your own data. So I'm going to click on this feature layer. The overview page is where you would normally have detailed metadata, such as a description and terms of use. But as this is just an example, we don't have that filled in. This information is important if you're sharing data so that others know what it is for, when it was created, and how they can use it. If I click on the Data tab, I can see the records in this feature layer. I will then click on Fields, and I want to point this out to you that if you own the layer, you can add more fields by clicking the Add button on the left. The Visualization tab lets you preview data on the map. You can see the default symbology and pop-up information. If you wanted to change those settings, for example, ensure that every time this layer is added to the map, it has a purple square as the symbol, then you can change that here and save the layer. The Settings tab is also important if you want to enable or disable editing. For example, when you're working on a layer, you can enable editing, but if you make it public, then you probably don't want to give everyone the same opportunity. Those are just a couple of things I wanted to show you before we get stuck into the map viewer. Let's go back to the overview page and add this layer to a map. I click Overview, and from the menu on the right-hand side, I click the drop-down beside Open in Map Viewer, and I will click Add to New Map. I will give you a tour through all of the icons and functionality very soon, but let's take a closer look at what you can do with a feature layer on your map. A feature layer can be a point, line or polygon, and they have a table of attributes. I will zoom into my features in Phoenix Park, and you can see they are currently symbolised by a red dot with a yellow circle around it. If I click on either point, I can see the pop-up, and by default this shows the attribute table, the field name alias and the value. If you attached a photo when filling out the survey, this would appear here too. On the left-hand side, we are in the Contents pane within the Details section. We also have the Legend tab, which of course shows the symbology of each layer that is displayed on the map. Back on the Content panel, under the layer name, there are a couple of useful tools. The first is to show the legend, and the second is to show the attribute table. From the attribute table, we can also select features. The next icon is to change the symbology. If I open this up, we can see it is showing location only, i.e. all features will be symbolised in the same way. I will change this to display my features by what is this sustainability initiative. and each answer is symbolised differently. A recommendation here would be to use an attribute that has a set number of answers. For example, include a question in your survey or add a field to your feature layer that categorises each sustainability initiative by type. I can then change the colour scheme used in this symbology. We are using unique symbols, and I will click Options in this box. I can change the colour of each point individually, or I can change the colour ramp, shape and outline used for all features at once. I will leave it as it is for now and click OK and Done. We will change the symbology of another layer very soon. Still looking at the tools under the layer name, we have a filter icon. You can click on this and create a filter for the features in the layer. For example, only display features that have an average visual appeal. Visual appeal is average and apply filter. We can see that only one feature is now displaying on my map. You can click on this icon again to edit the filter or remove it completely. The next icon is Enable Clustering, but as I only have 2 points here and they are relatively close together, it won't display properly just yet. I will come back to this with another layer very soon. We then have the Analysis icon, which is the same as clicking Analysis from the menu at the top. There are a range of tools here that are similar to those that you may be familiar with in the desktop ArcGIS applications. The tools are split into different categories, such as Summarize Data, where you can carry out a join, or use Proximity to create a buffer around features. You can find out more information by clicking the Info button. A note here is that running analysis tools in ArcGIS Online uses up organisational credits. Please check that you have enough credits assigned to your account and within your organisation before running too many analysis tools. Lastly, below the layer name, we have More Options, which opens up another menu of ways to display your data. As it says, the first one will zoom into your layer. You can also set the transparency and the visibility range. Transparency is very useful when showing multiple layers in one location, and visibility means you can say, I only want to see this layer when I am zoomed in at city level. That can be very useful if you have a lot of features on your map. A few other options here are to rename your layer, copy the layer, and move the layer up and down if you have a list of other layers on your map, hide it from the legend, and remove it completely. You can also filter edits. If you have other people editing, you can filter to choose who made the edits and when were they created. The next section is an important one, and I think it is something that can really help when trying to provide clear information about your data. First, we have pop-ups. We can enable or remove pop-ups, and then with the second icon, we can configure pop-ups. As a reminder, you can see the default pop-up is the attribute information, and we can see that listed here on the left-hand side, a list of field attributes. We can change the pop-up title by typing into this box or choosing an attribute value by clicking on the plus icon. I will change this to Sustainability Initiatives. In pop-up contents, there are a couple of different options of how you can display a pop-up. I think the most effective way is to configure your own, so I will choose a custom attribute display and click Configure. From here, I can type in whatever I want to see in the pop-up, but I can include attribute information by clicking on the plus icon. So I'm going to type in, this is a, and then choose the field, what is the sustainability initiative? I'll say the location of this feature is, add in location field. The ease of use is, add that field in. And the visual appeal is, and add that in. Underneath, I'm just going to put additional notes and put in our free text attribute. Please provide any additional information. So you can also change the font and the size and add in images here. I am just going to make this bold. And I click OK and click OK again. And now when I click on this pop-up, you can see that it reads much better as it is a sentence format rather than a table. Back in the More Options menu, we can also create labels. So I will click on this and I will create labels so that it shows what initiative is shown on the map. I can change the colour and add a halo around this as well to make it clear. You can also change the position of this text. So I'll click OK. You can then remove labels again by clicking Manage Labels and unticking that box and clicking OK. To finish off with the More Options menu, we can enable or disable editing on the layer. The refresh interval is useful if you have live data coming into your feature service. You can set a timer so that the layer refreshes and shows the new features. Route to all features is to use network analysis to show the journey between your features. This is the same as using the directions tool at the top of the map. You can then save the route between features as a new layer. Lastly, you can show item details, which is the item description page we've looked at already. And you can also save your layer, which is of course very important if you've been editing or adding and removing features. So you can use this information for any feature layer you're working with. Customize your pop-ups, add labels, and symbolize the data so that it is easy to understand and of course looks nice on the map. I will now give you a tour of other functionality on the map viewer. We started with the Details tab on the very left, and we have also mentioned Analysis. So let's go for one in the middle and look at Base Maps. This is where you can change the background mapping. At present, I have the dark grey canvas base map displayed. However, I can change that to topographic or to imagery. If we click the Add button, you will see there are 5 options available. If you click on Search for Layers, you can find data that is either in your own content, listed as a favourite item, shared with a group that you're also in, or shared with your organisation. You can also click on Living Atlas and ArcGIS Online to search for data on a particular topic. If I click on Living Atlas, I can see a range of Esri curated, authoritative datasets. There are lots of datasets already on ArcGIS Online for you to use in your maps, and Living Atlas has an amazing collection. However, you do need to sign in to be able to access these. If I click on ArcGIS Online, I can search for layers that anyone in Arc Online has shared with the public. As an example, I will search for a dataset related to the Sustainable Development Goal 15. I can see content from Esri, but I can also see content from SDG Ireland, which I know is the official SDG data produced by Ordnance Survey Ireland and the Central Statistics Office. I can click on this for more information and then click Add to Map. I'll just zoom out to let you see. Back to the menu at the top, you will see that Living Atlas has another search option for itself. The next option is to add a layer from the web. You might have found a URL to an Esri web service or web map service that you would like to add to your map. For example, here I am on the Ireland's Geological Survey website. If I scroll down and click on REST services, I can explore the REST services available that I can add into the map. So I will click on Bedrock and then I will choose the 500K geology, and I can copy this URL go back into my map and paste it into this box. I'm just going to untick the SDG 15 layer so that this is clear. And I will just untick these so we can see the lithology layer. So it comes up straight away and we can click on this to look at the pop-ups and understand more about this layer. Something that may be useful, and it's related to a layer we've already used, is the data on Ireland's Sustainable Development Goals Data Hub. This is the hub, and I will scroll down and choose SDG 15 again. I can look at geospatial indicators and explore the data on the hub itself. I can look at the metadata, and this is a very good example of what this page should look like, and then I can copy this URL from the bottom of the page. Back in my map, I can click Add Layer from Web, and paste that URL in. There we go, and I will just untick the geology layer so that we can't see it at the moment. And there we have another SDG layer added to our map. Again, you can click on this and it does have all of the attributes here, but you can find out more information. Back in the Add menu, you can also add a layer from File. This is data that is stored locally on your computer. So this could be a shapefile that you have zipped up, a CSV file, GPX, or GeoJSON. You can just upload it here. Lastly in this list are map notes. Map notes are a great way to create your own data on the map. If I click Create, immediately it brings up the Edit option so that I can start plotting either points, text, lines, or polygons onto my map. If I choose a point and add this to my map, it allows me to add a title, description, and an image URL. I would fill that in and click Close, but for now I will click Delete and just go back to my content page. I mentioned CSV files when adding data from File, but I'm going to show you another cool way to do that. I will navigate to the United States Geological Survey website and find a CSV of earthquakes for the past day. So I do this by searching for USGS Earthquakes CSV, going into this site, and on the right hand side I can go to Past Day and All Earthquakes. So if I click on this, CSV is downloaded and it's available at the bottom of my browser screen. If I go back to my map, I'm just going to untick these layers. All I need to do is drag this CSV file onto my map. It immediately displays the data and it even picks up one of the fields to symbolize the data by. I'm going to change this to magnitude. You can see it's displaying a bigger circle for earthquakes with a greater magnitude. I'm going to change this to counts and colours. So now that means the darker the colour, the greater the magnitude of the earthquake. I'm going to change this colour ramp and click OK. Now is a good time to go back to the cluster option. So under my earthquake layer, I can click on cluster points. And immediately you can see that is showing a greater circle where there are more earthquakes. So if I zoom into California, we can see that this cluster disperses into smaller clusters. So this is a quick and easy way to show where the majority of your data is located. I will untick this box and remove clustering again. Lastly, on the left-hand side of the map, we have the Edit option. When I click this, I can add features to both my earthquake layer and my campus sustainability layer. This is because both have editing enabled. I choose the layer that I want to add a point to, and I can place that point on the map. I click where I want to add the point, and I can fill in the attributes for this feature. I'll click delete because I don't want to add that in just at the moment. But I can also, while I have the Edit tab open, click on an existing feature and change those attributes, and also delete points. The Edit button is very useful when working with map notes. As you saw that when I created map notes, the Edit tab was opened automatically so that I could add the points, lines and polygons to my map. We have covered a lot on the left-hand side of this map, but of course there are a range of tools on the right-hand side too, and these are consistent across all maps you use. The first tool is the Save icon. Once you have created a map, you must save it so that it appears in your content page and you can come back to it again. Remember, the campus sustainability layer is a feature layer, so you can add it to lots of maps, but to see that same map again, say with these additional layers added in, you need to save the whole map. I'll fill this in now. Sustainability map. Although I realise I've got a lot of different layers here to show you the different functionality. So you add tags so that you can easily find it again. And you can add in a summary and choose which folder you want to save the map to. Once a map is saved, you can click Share. You can choose whether to share it with a group within your organisation, with the whole organisation, or with the public. If you do share it with the public, that's okay. You can also have the options to share to Facebook and Twitter, and you have this link so that it is easier to provide to other people. You can also click Embed in a website, and it provides the HTML that you need to add to a web page. You can also add in base map selector, home button, and other functionality here, and that will get added into the HTML for you. You can also create a web map from here, and I'm going to come back to that at the end, but there is an option to take your map a bit further with a web application. The next icon is to print. And I can't say that this is done very often, but the option is there. So if I zoom in to my place of interest, click Print, Map with Legend, it will open up a new window or a new tab, and the map will be here. There we go. You can use the Directions tool, as already mentioned, to calculate the journey between a set of locations and then export that data as a new feature layer. You can use the Measure tool to calculate the area, for example like this, and it will tell you how many square kilometres that area covers, or to calculate the distance between 2 points, or to calculate the latitude and longitude of a point on your map. You can change the units here. You can also create bookmarks in your map so that it's easy to navigate to a place of interest. So if I add in Dublin here, zoom back out on my map, and then click on my bookmark, that will zoom me back into Dublin. Lastly, in this section, you can use the search bar to quickly find a location. And for those watching in Ireland, that does include searching by air code. There we go. So that covers all of the functionality in the ArcGIS Online Map Viewer. We've talked about symbolising your data and adding pop-ups and labels. We've looked at different ways to add data to the map and covered some of the basic tools such as sharing and searching. If I go back to my content, I can now see that my map is listed as an item. So I can do that by clicking on the button on the top left and Content. So here I am on the content page, and you can see my map here. You can now share this map with others, But one last thing to show you is how to make your map a little more user-friendly when sharing it with others. From my content page, I can click Create. And on the right-hand side, you can see a list of applications. You can embed your map into any of these to provide additional information and tools for users to interact with your data. For example, configurable apps. Configurable apps give you a range of templates. For example, if I wanted users to be able to edit the data, I may use the Edit template. This means the tools they need are easy to access and they aren't distracted by anything else. If I go back, the Web App Builder. If I go through this just to give you an example, Web App Builder, and of course add tags. There we go, and just click OK to show you this. So it allows you to customize your own application and include a range of tools such as adding queries and filters as well as infographics around your map. So you can choose your own template. From here you can then choose which map you want to include. The tools are called widgets, so you can add some more in here. There's lots to choose from. All of the tools that you would see on the map viewer. And then you can add things like logos and a color scheme. Once that, you can then save that, preview it and share it. Back in my content page. The last thing just to mention are story maps. And story maps are a fantastic way to present a topic, case study or project in a modern scroll-through style. You can add text, embed images and videos, and of course include maps. And story maps now have a lot of functionality to create express maps, swipe maps and slides, all within the story map itself. So that brings me to the end of this ArcGIS online demo. Hopefully you will now feel confident to create your own maps and search for data. You're familiar with where to find your data and maps in the content page, and I've given you a quick insight into how you can take your maps further with applications. Best of luck and thank you for watching.